Hello, friends. Shalom. Rich here at the Gospel Rescue Mission, and this is Forging Past the Felony. Now, for those who have a felony on their record, I understand. I know that it can be very difficult to get people to look past that. You could go through all the effort and expense of getting your record expunged, but if it's on the internet in some capacity, if your record somehow made the newspaper or some other documentation out there, that expungement may not help you a whole lot, as people can look up your past. They can look it up on social media. They can see all those things. So the solution really is for you to live with character, to be a man or woman of virtue, living strong character. And we're going to talk about that as we work through these 4 lessons. Now, each of these 4 lessons does come with a handout that I can email you or message to you. Just let me know you'd like that. And I'll put that email address there at the end so you can make that request. So this is lesson 1. We have 3 sections of this first lesson. The first one is understand the power of dominoes. Examine your relationships, and then discover your purpose. These are the 3 main areas we're going to touch on here in lesson 1. Lesson 1 is understanding the power of dominoes. If I take a small domino, I knock it over, it can knock over a domino that is double its size, and then now we can knock over double its size. And so if you start to do little things that are right, those dominoes can multiply out. So by the time you get to about, domino 14 or 15, you could be knocking over a domino the size of the Empire State Building. Same thing with our life. We have to do little things every single day to begin building this strength, to build the virtue, so that way when challenging times come, and I promise you they will come, that you'll be able to withstand those storms as they come. But it takes training, development. Let me illustrate it this way. Let us say that I was going to offer you a job. And on this job, it's 30 days. That's all it is. It's 30 days. But on day 1, I'm only going to pay you a penny for that 1 hour worth of work that you're going to do on day 1. But every day, I'm going to double that. So day 2, you get 2 cents. Day 3, 4 cents. And then 8 cents. And it just keeps multiplying, double up. Some people say, you know what, I wouldn't take the job. It's not worth that first day. Those first couple of days, you're getting 8 cents. What's that really mean? I worked hard for an hour, got a lot of sweat, dirt, grime. I wasted that hour, got nothing out of it. But think about this. By the time you get to day 25, you're getting $167,772.16 for that same hour's worth of work. That's just day 25. You still got another 5 days to multiply that out, and you end up with $5,368,709.12 for that same hour. It's the same thing with these little habits that we create. The little habits that we do, they get bigger and bigger and bigger and compound until you have great life success. By life success, I don't just mean great job. I don't mean just great home. I mean a great life. And it takes a lot of effort to do that, but it starts off difficult, starts off challenging, starts off seeming like you're not really accomplishing anything. But there comes a day when you have accomplished great things. Life, because what happens oftentimes is we get challenged. We get to a certain place where we think, I'm tired. I just want to give up. The problem is that oftentimes we give up at 211 degrees. We're looking at the boiling water there, that first picture over on that side over there, that water there. At 211, it's not doing a whole lot, but at 212, it starts to boil, and then it creates steam, and that steam can generate power to run locomotives and steamships, and really it was steam that really changed culture in a lot of ways. It built factories, it did all this great stuff, but you cannot quit. You cannot give up. You cannot turn off the heat. Fire. 451 degrees, it becomes fire. But at 450, it doesn't do a whole lot. Additionally, think about this. If you are at 450 degrees and you get that 1 more degree, but you're still just a candle, a breeze will blow out that candle. But if you are a fire, it actually gets stronger and bigger. So when storms come, you get stronger and more powerful if you've turned up the heat, if you've done the work, if you progress. Now, I also want to throw out this just so you have an understanding of how these things work. I don't want you to be overly discouraged, but understand this, that if you do the negative habits, if you do things like drinking and smoking and lying and being mischievous, doing things that lack virtue, the same thing in the negative sense is going to happen, and life will get worse and worse and worse with less and less stability. But we want you to be a man or woman of virtue, a man or woman of character, so you can get past that felony and accomplish great things with your life. And our world needs you to do that. This isn't just about you. It's about the world being improved because of your. Part two, got to restore some relationships. Now, the truth is that this is probably one of the most important lessons you can take in there. First of all, you have to look around at who you're spending time with. The Bible teaches that bad company destroys good character. So you want to choose wisely who you hang out with. And then we want to look at who we have hurt and who we have damaged in our lives. Relationships are key. So who in your family have you stolen from, lied, manipulated? You put a guilt trip on them when they knew you were using, but you tricked them into giving you something. You got to go back and make that right with your family, and it can take time to do that. Employers do. Maybe you came to work and you didn't really do work. You spent all your time playing a game on your phone, or you actually clocked in and left and they really weren't there. You're going to have to step up and do those things right. Businesses, maybe you shoplifted. I remember working with a young man who had shoplifted about $400 or so from Walmart in his addiction days. And he went back and made it right. He got a full-time job. He got $400 in cash. We went over to Walmart, and he gave that cash to the manager and said, I apologize for my past, but here we go. I'm going to make it right. And he actually handed over that $400 and made things right with that business. Ourselves, we've done damage to ourselves. We lied, manipulated, hurt ourselves. Creation, we got to make things right with creation. If you've done damage to those things, and if you've polluted. A lot of people who are smokers, I know they throw their tobacco, cigarette butts on the ground and all that. That's damaging creation. You got to take responsibility for that and go make it right. So maybe you spend a week, going around cleaning up other people's cigarette butts. You go around cleaning up other people's trash. Whatever it takes, you're going to do it. Our culture, maybe we've broken things with our culture. Our culture says this, and we rebelled against that. And then just others that we hurt relationship. We got to go back and make it right. It's restoring the relationship. And then you look at this wagon wheel. If I have this wagon wheel and any one of those spokes is not functioning correctly, you got to understand that wheel will not go around as smoothly as it can. That's why this is so important. But I also want to give you a life hack here. If you could start off with the spoke on God and make your relationship right with God first, the rest of those go much easier, much smoother. So focus in on your relationship with God. Do what you can to make things right with Him. That means confessing your sins. It means repenting of your sins. It means connecting with men and women of God and have them to spark you and remind you and help you to work through the processes, because not everybody's going to forgive you automatically. They may take time to do that. I know I'm still paying the price for some of my misdeeds when I was in my addiction. It takes time, and I've been clean and sober now for over 30 years, and I'm still paying a price for some of those things. It's going to take time, but if you have a good relationship with God, you have a good relationship with godly men and women, you can move forward and heal those relationships. This is kind of a lifelong process. I'm still going through this and still working on those relationships, but it will pay dividends. I encourage you to focus in on healing those relationships as quickly as you can. Heal as many as you can. Make things right. It's not just saying I'm sorry. It's coming to say, look, I know I stole from you. I know I lied to you. What can I do to make it right? And you may take years and months and decades maybe even to make it right, but take the time to fix those relationships now. Do not delay. And then our final big lesson is our purpose. And so what we want to do is we want to look at, what are you good at? What do you love to do? What does the world need? And if the world needs it, they're going to pay you to do it. So we're talking about purpose. We're also talking about your job, your profession, what you can do. But you want to take a look at what you're good at. Because if you can get that little green section there on the slide, that little middle section, that culmination of what you're good at, what you love to do, and what the world needs, you are living your best life. I had a friend who did. He was a good truck driver. He loved to do it, and the world needed truck drivers. They paid him well to do it. And he would talk about he never really worked in his life. He was actually just he was employed, but he didn't have to actually work because he could just move on with his life. He could accomplish great things. So he figured out what he's good at. He's a good truck driver. He loved to do it, and the world needed it. Now, I'm good at doing dishes. I don't necessarily love to do it. I love to show off and be good at doing those dishes. I don't really love to do it, so I don't really have an intersection there. I love to do it sometimes. I don't complain about it. It's just, I wouldn't want to do it for a living anymore. I did it for a living growing up. But the world does need good dishwashers. So if you're willing to do the work, go ahead and do it. Find your purpose. And part of this is living with virtue. You see a listing of the most common virtues. You can go to a website It's viacharacter.org, viacharacter.org. You take a little survey; it'll tell you what your top, what order you rank these in. And these are virtues that are true and accurate, regardless of where you live in the world. There's variations of these all over the world. They have different names, but basically these are there. And when you take that survey, it's going to tell you what your top 5 are. And I'm going to challenge you that you're going to take time, and whatever you discover your top 5 virtues are, write them every single morning. I write out my top 5 virtues every single morning. Honesty is my number 1. I got that. I think every day, how am I going to live honestly today? And number 2 is spirituality. How am I going to honor Christ with my life, my words, the way I look at people and things? How do I honor Him? That's my spirituality. And then perspective. I want to try to see things from different angles, and so that's my 3rd one. And then leadership. How do I become a better leader, an effective leader? And then finally, I love to learn, so I'm going to listen to podcasts, audiobooks. I read a book a week. All those things are part of living with that virtue, and it's not just writing those out. I'm thinking through, how am I going to live this out today? How am I going to experience this today? And it's not that I ignore the rest of those virtues. I do look at some of those other virtues on a regular basis and try to apply them in my life. But if I can live those top 5, the rest of them get a lot easier. So again, thank you so much. If you would like to get the handout that comes with this, please send me an email. I'll email that to you right away. Hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next time.